Okay, so I've been coming up with theories about underground railroads, subways in Utica, New York, and I think I just found it. There might have definitely been an underground subway, underground railroad, as these blackies call it, as the slaves call it. The Muslims are probably enslaving them. The Muslims took over this whole town. The Muslims are down in the underground railroads. The Muslims are probably enslaving everybody. The Muslims are the ones causing all these earthquakes. There was just an earthquake in New York City just not too long ago. The Muslims might be all down there drilling more tunnels. They might have completely taken over America, and they might have infiltrated every single base, infiltrated every single state. It seems like there's a Muslim everywhere you look. It seems like there's just a Muslim everywhere you look. And as you can see, the monorail cart, it looks like it would drive right down under into whatever this was. So that means it was an underground monorail rail. What would you call it? Underground I don't even know what these are now. What the hell's happening to this photo? It's all glitching out. It would have been an underground, whatever these are. Monorail. Yeah, monorail. That's it. It would have been an underground monorail if this theory is true. And if this photo that I'm seeing here is what it really is, then that would explain a lot about what's going on in the city. That would explain a lot about why the population's so much different. Oh shit. Look at how many people are walking downtown. I know, granted, there were no cars, there were cars and there were horse and buggy, but they're probably really expensive. But still, I want you to pay notice to just the sheer number of how many people there really was and how many more buildings there really was. This was an actual city at one point. Utica, New York was an actual city at one point. Utica, New York was like a Syracuse or bigger. New York, it was like a New York, maybe even. Utica, New York could have been like a literal New York City, a smaller New York City. And that's what they say. They actually built this. I actually heard from my mother, they actually built the city to be like that, to be like a smaller New York City. What the hell is that? Oh, that must be an advertisement. I saw a big giant face in the background. I'm like, what the hell? There's a big giant face there. But, what was I getting at? Oh, jeez, I'm distracted now. There was a big giant monorail, underground railroad in our city, if this was all true. My mother told me that they built the city to be just like a small New York City. So that means there must have been subways. That means there must have been entrances to these subways. And that makes you wonder about certain places, like let's say in this park that I live next to. There's a park that I live next to. There used to be a manhole in that park. There used to be a big giant manhole, sunken hole, right in the middle of the park. There was no dirt mound at all. That means there was a cave-in over there. Wherever that was, there was a cave-in, and they also filled it in eventually. They filled it in. They never said anything about it. It's almost like it was done in the middle of the night, too. It's almost like they just went there with some dirt, filled it in. So that means there's an elaborate of tunnels underneath us. And I live on one of the, or I don't live, I sleep over a lot there. I sleep over at one of the spots where it looks like there's a fault line, where the property is, it's actually elevated. The elevation's just like 4 feet, 5 feet taller, and it's only, it's like a little mound, like a hill. But it looks like, it honestly looks like there could be a tunnel underneath this home, and it looks like erosion is getting to it. Erosion could be catching up to it. That's what they say. Erosion could be catching up to it. Now, if there are people in Underground Railroads getting raped underneath us, that is something serious that needs to end immediately. We need to find these Underground Railroads. We need to make the biggest entrances possible for them. We need to make sure everyone knows about them, especially the police. The police need to know about these Underground Railroads. The police need to know. It needs to be accessible to everyone. I bet there's a connection to the police station in it. I bet that's how they would be able to find it the quickest. They could just go down in the basement, evaluate or examine the walls. Just go examine the walls. I mean, if they got the time, if they're just sitting around twiddling their thumbs, they could do that. Why not? It's a part of an investigation now. If they see any signs at all of tunnel entrances, man, would that be a fucking mind blower for you, wouldn't it? I'd be pretty upset to know that we've been lied to so hard. To know that we've been lied to so much. I'd be so upset. To know that so much evil is going on in our city. So much crime. So much terrorism is happening here. Just like in New York City. So much terrorism is plaguing that city. And so many people, so many innocent people are going to die because of it. Because of these scumbag evil terrorists. And it's so sad, it's so messed up, it shouldn't be happening. You know, and that just reminded me, I've been having dreams about going underground. I've been having dreams about somebody taking me underground while I'm on drugs. And there's like a big giant casino underground, auditorium and everything. Now I doubt I'm having like visions of something that's actually down underneath the city. I doubt. I also had a few dreams of being brought to a mall that was underground. Big, giant underground mall. Another one, I highly doubt. Could exist underneath me for so long without me ever finding out. I highly doubt that. However, it is possible. And just by looking at old photos, really looking around, you can see there were random underground tunnels in the middle of Genesee Street. And you're wondering, where did this underground tunnel lead to? Well, that's a mystery. Was it, could have it been, just a monorail tunnel? Or, a monorail bridge for no fucking reason? Why would you have a monorail bridge for no reason? For mud? I remember hearing it was for mud. Look at the street. Does this street look like it's got mud? Does this street look like it's got mud? Do I look like a fucking retard to you? Really, look. Do I look like I'm Trump, or do I look like I'm Biden on a bunch of medication or on a bunch of cocaine? No. I forget what I was saying now. I'm really tired. I was up all night. Um, but yeah, there's no reason to have that there. So unless some hacker put it in there, for no reason at all, maybe they predicted I was gonna guess this. I guess I'm pretty predictable. If not, there really is an underground railroad underneath us. There really is something, at least, an underground something that's very hidden. And it ain't just that fallout shelter over in downtown at that one house where there's a sign that says there's a fallout shelter in that house. I would love to see that fallout shelter. I would love to try to convince those people to let me in. I'd just give them money or something. I doubt that would even work. I bet they'd be the most miserable cocksuckers on the planet. Because, and they have a perfect excuse for it too, because they could say, even if there's nothing hidden down there, nothing illegal or anything like that, they can say, oh, we're just sick and tired of people asking to see it. That's why we're so miserable. Now get off our porch. And I would be shell shocked. I wouldn't know what to say. But if I was able to get down in there, I wonder what I'd find. To think we had bomb shelters in the city. What else could we had? Could we have had a whole elaborate tunnel system? And could have they been connected to people's homes even? Especially a home like that, it had a literal shelter in it, a literal bomb shelter in it. This video is getting way too long. It's just a conspiracy theory for now until I can prove more. I don't know what I'm gonna do if I find out that it's true. Oh, you know what? I just realized this is the Erie Canal. That's what it is. It's the Erie Canal. Well, I feel kind of stupid now. But there still could be an underground railroad. I don't care what anybody says. Actually, wait, no. Maybe this isn't the Erie Canal. No, it is. It's the Erie Canal. I just wasted all of your time. Either way, there still could be an underground railroad somewhere, and I would love to prove it. I would love to prove it. Just so I could get them opened up again. Because if we have them, that means they're still in operation. Because you can't just get rid of something like that. They at least got to open up like a museum of it, so we could at least see like 20 feet of it, so I could just walk down there and be like, wow, this is what it looked like. This is a small section of it. So I could know. I'm not crazy. It's not that far out of a theory. There were tunnels, but they could come up with some clever excuse like, they're too small and narrow and they're falling down. There's cave-ins all over the place. Look at that park near Frank's house. There was a cave-in. You can't go down there. We only fix up this one little part. They could be hiding some very dark secrets down there. Like, they could be raping women. They could be drugging people. There could be tons of looters and squatters down there. One of these sewer systems, one of the sewer holes might be the one. If you go down there might be like some secret hole somewhere where if you crawl into it, you could find the tunnel systems. And that reminds me in Chicago, I think it was Chicago, there was actually a tunnel. There was actually like a little tunnel system like that inside their subway. Or wait, no, I think it was inside their sewer. It was like a little crawl-in spot to get away from the cops. Now, I think that was just the mafia. They just dug that up so they could hide out. But that's what it would look like. If you go down into the sewers and if you see anything like that, you need to literally take it as a serious thing. You need to go around telling everybody we all need to know it. We all need to know it. We all need to know what's going on in our country. Regardless of if there is an underground railroad or not, we know one big, dark, deep secret about this city, and that is Islam has completely destroyed all of this city. So it's very likely if there is an underground railroad, it's Islam who has it. It's Islam. Islamic terrorists are using it to behead people. Islamic terrorists are using it to torture people. Islamic terrorists are using it as a base to hide out in. Islamic terrorists have connections to it, to their smoke shops over on Mohawk Street and Eagle Street. That might be an actual tunnel system that leads down into it. That smoke shop might actually have a tunnel system. Now, why don't they just have it be out in the open? I want to see it. I'm so curious. I want to see it. Once they get caught, we need to see it. I want to see these elaborate tunnel systems. Are they even that big? Or were they like some 1800s shitty little tunnel systems you could barely even fit 3 guys walking down it at the same time? Is it just like a walkway? Or is it like a whole elaborate subway with giant stations? Giant subway stations. And one of them used to be right over by the shelter, that bomb shelter I was just talking about earlier in the video. One of them used to be right over by the bomb shelter, right over by the library, the Utica library. If this theory is true, I guarantee that's the perfect spot for it. Why would it say there's a bomb shelter there? It's right out in the open. They're not hiding it. They're telling us, look, we have access to a bomb shelter in our home. It could be the train station, and we're not going to tell you. Why would they do this to us? Why? Think deeply. Because of Islam? Because of Islam. That's what it all is. It's because of a religion. It's because of a religion that doesn't matter at all. At all. It doesn't matter what they say about the religion. What they're doing with this religion now is evil. It's extremist. No one's controlling them to do it. They're in total control. They're super smart. They're super strong Arabs. They're totally in control. They're monkeys in power. And because of this, they have all the power, they have all the control down there. Now, the reason it's so hard for us to get rid of them all is because if you think about it, if this theory is true, the reason why it's so hard to get rid of them all is because if you go down there, it's so hard to go down there. It's so hard to get them all if you're a cop. Your signals are low. They could jam your signals in certain areas. They can catch you off guard, and so it's complicated. You need a whole team of people with automatics ready, locked and loaded, ready to start firing. you need to kick in these doors, and you need to investigate these buildings. And I actually saw a raid happen with ARs right across the street from the New York Connection building, which is actually coincidentally, I think, yeah, right here. So I know what it kind of looks like. They all have, the gear on, they got the guns, they got the lights, the flashlights. That's really difficult to do down in giant tunnels. That's really, really difficult to do. Now, if you're a tough guy, you think you're tough. Now, maybe you could handle that. But for a scaredy cat little cop who's got more important things to worry about above ground, that might be insignificant to you completely. You might say it sounds retarded, and people who walk down South Street go missing all the time. There is actually a real tunnel there on South Street connecting that church to the mansion. The chances that people could be kidnapping women there and dragging them down in the tunnels could be pretty high. I did have a black man run up to me and approach me on South Street when I was walking down. I was talking to wasn't talking to my mother. I was on live Facebook with my mother, and he didn't do anything to me. He didn't rob me or anything. And he just walked away. But he was trying to get me to smoke his bowl, and who knows what was inside of his glass bowl, his cannabis bowl. Who knows what else could have been inside of it? That guy could have knocked me out, dragged me into that church, put me down into the tunnel systems, and do who knows what to me. Now, from the distance, I had long hair. I was in tight jogger pants. So it almost looked like I was in some yoga pants or something. My ass was popping out. And I think that's why he ran over like that. Now imagine if I was some weak, frail woman who was dumb and unprepared and uneducated. I would have been kidnapped and they would have never found me again. You'd be wondering why there's so many pimps on South Street. You'd be wondering, where's their hideout? Where's their hideout, you'd be wondering. Well, it could be right across the street from an undercover's garage. A police station's undercover's garage. Looks like it was built by Muslims. It's almost like the Muslims control the police. It's almost like if you call the feds in too, who knows what might happen to them. These people have powder drugs. These people have needle drugs. These people have liquid drugs. These people have gas drugs, mist drugs. These people have all types of hardcore drugs, designer drugs. These people have tons and tons of hardcore drugs. The chances of every single cop being untouched during these raids is pretty low. Especially when you see how these cops are. A lot of them come from the country like me. We were all abused by our parents, or we were all spoiled rotten, privileged, overly privileged. We were all stuck up. So to be in a city full of people like this, all underground, hiding out, breathing all of our oxygen away, is actually terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. The only thing that keeps us brave is the anger. That's it. It's the only thing that keeps us brave is the pure anger. The thought of our women screaming in the distance. The thought of our women being tortured in the distance. That's what gets us angry. That's what makes us want to fight back. The thought of it all makes you want to kill them all. And that's what makes it so you're not afraid. That's what makes it so you're willing to fight for your subway. You're willing to fight for your people. You're willing to fight in general. Because all the shit that's going on, all these scumbag, deplorable, anti-Latin, Islamic terrorist, lone wolf psychopaths. They don't care about Latins. They don't care about blacks, Asians, or whites. They just care about Islam. That's all they care about. These people are confused. These people are sick. These people are psychotic. These people are angry. These people are cowardly. These people are nothing. These people are nothing. They need 200,000 guys to raid one town, one small town. That's how cowardly they are. That's how careful they are. That means if you're an investigator, it makes it even harder for you to do your work. You got to be prepared for the entire end of the world. You got to be prepared for these people to start slitting their own sons' throats because they're not Lebanese enough. When they all go off all once. When they start going off, they might all go off all at once. These disgusting, fat, evil, ugly bastards. When they start popping off, as the blackies will call it, they might all pop off at once. So you need to be prepared, locked and loaded, ready to go. It's life or liberty. You're better off dead than letting these guys win. You're better off dead than being their slave. You're better off dead. You're better off doing the worst, most terroristic things imaginable to these people in retaliation, an eye for an eye. You're better off. You're better off going to hell for all of eternity. Without ever having family, without even making it to middle age. You'd be better off dead than let these scumbags win. These evil, evil scumbags. They are all fat, hairy, disgusting animals. They're all child abusers. They're all woman abusers. They're all psychos. They'll fuck your whole family. They are disgustingly sick and evil and psychotic. They're hiding way too much from us. They're hiding way too much from us. Way too much. These fat cowards. They're all a bunch of fat cowards. They need all of their stores taken back. They need all their restaurants closed down. We need our fucking Underground Railroad to be open again. So that way people don't freeze or get kidnapped anymore. We got a lot of freezing and a lot of kidnapping. Hypothermia and child abuse and kidnapping is one of the most prevalent things in this city. I mean, human trafficking. Human trafficking and frostbite. Two most common things happening in the city. Two most common things. Because you forget to put on your big boots and all these nice, fancy, cute little shoes that you want to wear. Don't keep your feet warm enough. So when you go outside and it's snowing out, your feet are going to be freezing. And you'll be just like my mother. You'll end up losing your feet. A lot of people around here lose their feet. A lot. Just like a lot of people around here get abused by their Muslim fathers. A lot of them. And these Muslim idiots, they also abuse their own wives. And look what ends up happening in the end. Once you attack a woman, everyone is after you. Everyone. Once you attack a brother, everyone is after you. Everyone. Those are two things you should never, ever do. Because now everyone wants a piece of you. Everyone. There are more men than there are women on planet Earth. And these men are all in competition for love. And these men, when they hear all these women being kidnapped and tortured and drugged, it gets them really upset. It makes them want to fight back. And when they hear it in the distance, it pokes up their ears. They hear things more now. They're more willing to listen. The more and more reports we make, too. The more and more reports we make, the more and more they're aware. They're like, oh man, I remember what happened here. This whole city was turned upside down. This whole city was trashed. Utica, New York was absolutely trashed. What they did to our community was absolutely horrendously evil. It was horrendously evil. Now, granted, the Catholics or the fort makers, whoever they were, I guess they were bad too. I don't know. But I say fort makers because that's another one of my theories, that every church was actually just a fort at one time. Except for the ones that had really good bell towers, the ones that you would actually be able to hear things out of. But some churches, like let's say for example, Fort Schuyler. I think Fort Schuyler was actually at one time right where the Islamic Church is now. So if you're familiar with Utica and where everything is, the Fort Schuyler would have been literally across the street, on the other corner, on the other side of the corner. I mean, not the other side of the corner, the other corner, entirely on the other street. And my theory for this is because the reason I have this theory is because right there is where Fort Schuyler was at the corner, or I mean where it is now at the corner, and this building looked like it was a perfect. In the photo, the other photo, this older photo I saw, I posted on my Facebook. It looked like it was a perfect fort at one time. And I always theorized to think, like, you know, how could people be so brainwashed, retarded to believe in this stupid trash? It's all hypocritical nonsense. It all goes against one another. All of their theories, all of their narratives, it goes against one another. It tells you not to kill, and then it tells you to kill. None of it makes any sense. And the way that the churches seem to be destroying our city, the way that they seem to be, and when I say churches, I mean all places of worship. So I'll say the way places of worship seem to be destroying the city, makes it seem like as if all those buildings at one time were just forts. Because they would be good forts. And the bell towers could have just been watchtowers. It's very likely. And the bells could have just been warning devices to warn people that there was an attack, to wake them up, so that way they could grab their guns and start, or grab their arrows and start fighting. Anyways, I just went full-blown conspiracy theorist. Although this is all stuff that could have happened. This isn't anything like too insane. I'm gonna post this on my YouTube too. I barely get like two views on all my videos. So if I'm really, really wrong here, I'm not scared at all. But if I'm correct about all of this, something serious is going on here. Oh, and I also want to point out in this photo how nothing really looks right. Nothing. Like, let's say the background here. What is up with the skyline? The skyline itself looks like there's nothing in the distance. It's all just trees. It looks like at one time there was no North Utica. And it looks like at one time the Erie Canal was actually in downtown Utica, not North Utica. And it also seems like at one time we had underground railroads. It almost seems like at one time humans were free and prosperous in this country. It almost seems like our invaders just like completely changed everything. Our Muslim invaders. It almost seems like they completely invaded everything. Whoa, that's new. What the hell? I don't remember seeing this on the roof. Is that a hacker who did that? Or are we in the Google Matrix right now? Dun dun dun. Oh no, I'm on DuckDuckGo. What the fuck? Oh no, this is the Google app though. What if Google just did that? Google did it. Google did it. They're doing everything. They think of everything. They're like the Simpsons. Anyways, I'm on the video here. I'm going to post this on YouTube now, on Google.